Hey, what up guys, it's SPD Ghost 408, and you might have remembered the video I did on this. This is the Dell Precision 490 server workstation. It has two Xeon CPUs in it, 32 gigabytes of DDR2 memory, and like I said, it is a server workstation. Mainly used for like video rendering, AutoCAD type stuff, but two Xeon processors rated at 2.66 gigahertz each. I think they're the X5355 processors. This thing is a powerhouse, what I thought. Well, I started looking into these Dell Precision workstation and ended up buying another one. This time I ended up, as you can see with the size comparison, this is the 490. This right here is the Dell Precision T7500, and this thing is a straight beast. This thing is running two Xeon processors. I can't remember the exact gigahertz on it, but it has two Xeon processors in it. This one has 12 gigabytes of DDR3 memory, and this thing is just gargantuan. So what we're going to do is I'm going to unplug it. I basically have these two hooked up to a KVM switch, which is running that monitor right there. So, and these are basically going to be like file storage servers. I might turn one into a Plex server. I don't really know, but I just wanted one. So I started off buying this one on eBay for a great deal. Ended up picking this one up, which is a newer generation of it. Better memory, better everything. And I actually got it cheaper than I got the 490. So educate yourself before you start buying stuff, because you'll end up being like me and buy multiple computers at once, but that's okay because I like these stuff. So I'm gonna unplug this and we're gonna get into the internals here in a second. I'll be right back. Alright guys, just real quick before I shut this thing off, because I didn't know the processor model numbers that was inside of it off the top of my head. It has two Xeon 5607 processors. They're quad-core processors rated at 2.27 gigahertz each. 12 gigabytes of memory, DDR3 at 1333 megahertz, and it's running Windows 7 Ultimate, 64-bit. So just real quick, we will do the Windows Index experience. Now, keep in mind, my video card that I have in here is a low-end NVIDIA GT610 passively cooled DDR3 graphic card, 1 gigabit. So my lowest score is the 4.4 and the 5.7 for my graphics. But the processor is rated at 7.6, memory rated at 7.6. Graphics cards are low at 4.4 and 5.7, and of course I have a regular 1 terabyte SATA hard drive, 7200 RPM, and that's rated at 5.9, which is standard. Okay, so real quick, we'll just go over the front. Basically, on the front, it has one DVD-ROM drive, which is a SATA drive, two 5.25 inch expansion bays, one 3.5 inch expansion bay, headphone and microphone jack up front, two USB 2.0s, and a FireWire port on the front, and of course the power button. And of course it still has the hard metal shell that you could take off if you want to do anything with that. We'll go around to the back and start from the top and work our way down. The power supply is a, I don't know, there's the power supply, shit. Power supply, several expansion bays. This right here is my GT610 graphics card. So I got DVI, HDMI, and VGA. I just got it hooked up to a VGA monitor. Has 6 USB 2.0 ports, 1 eSATA port, 1 gigabit NIC, and 1 gigabyte NIC. Input output for audio, PS2 mouse and keyboard, old school LPT1 printer port, serial port, and of course another FireWire port. Big bulky fan in the back. This thing does stay pretty cool. I mean, it definitely pushes some air out of it. So, alright, so now let's turn this thing on its side. And like I said, this thing weighs about 60 pounds. This thing is huge. This is probably seriously one of the heaviest computers I've ever owned in my life. Alright, so let's get into the internals. So right down there is one of the CPUs. There is the 6 gigabytes of the DDR3 RAM. It's separated up into one 4 gigabyte stick and two 1 gigabyte sticks. So I think it's in triple channel mode right now. And then the other CPU is down there, and the other bit of CPU memory is right there on this riser. And of course it's wired up in one 4 gigabyte stick and two 1 gigabyte sticks. So I could expand more RAM if I needed to, but I'll tell you what, 12 gigabytes in this server rig, it's more than enough. So now let's look at the PCI Express slots. So down there, I don't know if you can see that, it looks like you have a setup for one internal USB 2.0 right there. Has two PCIe X16 slots, so you can have two graphics cards right in here. So one here, one here. You can SLI them if you need to. Another PCIe right there, just a regular PCI slot right there. Another PCIe and another PCI. So quite a few options for the expandability on this rig right here. SATA ports. Well, actually, we'll go with hard drives. Hard drives, you have up to 4 hard drive slots right here. I have two 2 terabyte drives in here, and this is the 1 terabyte Western Digital Enterprise drive that came with it. And I have room for one more. Alright, and SATA ports. SATA ports, it has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 SATA ports on the motherboard. You could increase that if you wanted to with, you know, a SATA RAID card or something like that. Is that you can add an extra USB header right there if you needed to. Yep. So, and let's see. So now, graphics card cables. So you have one 8-pin graphics card cable, or two 6-pin graphics card cables that are just sitting here just waiting to be used. Unfortunately, I'm not really using this as like an SLI or anything like that. Lots of extra SATA ports for the power supply. A couple Molex 3.5-inch for 3.5-inch floppy connectors, stuff like that. This power supply really does have a lot to offer. So, oh yeah, the power supply. Let's see, how many watts is this thing? Somebody's probably going to see this way before I see it, but of course I'm trying to look at it through a phone. I don't know how big the power supply is right now. What is it, 1100 watt power supply? Right there? 1100 watt? 1000 watt? I don't know, let's just sum it up and say 1000 watt power supply. I really have no idea, but here, let's focus in on this. Yeah, now that I'm looking at it, yeah, 1000 watt power supply. So that's inside this thing. If I can get the phone to focus. Damn you, iPhone. So yeah, this thing is a beast of a machine. So the Dell T7500 definitely works. Check them out on eBay. You can get a great deal on them for around 200 bucks. And like I said, the options are endless. I think the maximum RAM you can add in this thing is 196 gigabytes. So it definitely has some room to expand if you needed to, but I really have no need of ever using over 12 gigabytes of RAM for this. So, but maybe in the future, who knows. But like I said, my 490, I thought it was a beast of a machine, but this thing just blows it out of the water. So I'm not really planning any upgrades for this. Who knows? If I could find a faster CPU, I would do that, but that might be it. Oh, one last thing. We're just going to do the power on. See how loud this thing is. This thing is really quiet. Starts off a little bit on the loud side, but here we go. It's already booted the Windows. So now let's just do a comparison for the noise comparison. So now you can hear how loud it is, how loud the T7500 is. Let's boot up the 490, which is the older one. What happened? Oh, okay. I unplugged a couple of the hard drives so they're not found. That's cool. So now you can hear the noise from that 490. How much louder that is. So that's the 490 KBM, that's the 7500. So just a little bit of a sound comparison. Like I said, this one is a whole lot quieter than that one. So alright guys, hope you enjoyed the video. This is SPD Goes 408. I'm out.